This is the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 10 in the NLT. Don't be afraid of what you are about to suffer. The devil will throw some of you into prison to test you. You will suffer for 10 days, but if you remain faithful, even when facing death, I will give you the crown of life. Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, all praise, honor, and the glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and blessings be multiplied on all you brethren out there teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom to the elect, the 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom. I'm the brother Dama Agabar, here with another lesson, Lord willing to edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. All right. And, we're entering a time to where, we're getting ready to have to suffer greatly for the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And some of us will be cast into prison. Some of us will be tried and tested and, put in some of the most direst of situations. But, at the end of the day, we all have to remember that it's all a test. OK, and the Lord's going to try and test all of us, not only by being thrown in prison, being reprimanded unjustly. Some of us are even going to face imminent death, for this gospel's sake, and it's always got to be in the back of your mind. Remember, it's all a test of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. We have to be that gold tried in the fire, and the Lord is going to put us in situations like I'm about to read, all for a test, man. And one thing you have to remember, especially those of us who have been doing this work, who have been, diligently, seeking after Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, being prudent, being vigilant, being loyal, being faithful, have to understand that, we're not going to be put in these different situations because, we're evil or we're wicked or because the Lord is not dealing with us, man. But that we all have to be tried. We all have to be tested. We all have to be thrown into that fire to see what manner of, man and woman we are towards Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And it's going to be some of the most, uncomfortable positions that we have ever been in or could ever imagine. You see, and this is why you have to arm your mind to, you have to arm your mind to prepare that some of us are going to be put in these situations, some worse than others, because not every brother's trial and every brother's test is going to be the same. But one thing's for sure, we will all be tested, man. All right. And remember, it's nothing that we can't handle. It's nothing that we're not built for, but we're going to have to be in the right spirit and the right mind frame, man, when these times come. And what made me do this article is I was reading this article here from Mediaite. It says, an Irish man who's been held by ICE for months calls facility a modern day concentration camp. You see, and the reason why I'm reading this article is because I want to highlight the conditions that, this guy explains that these, ICE facilities are. As we know, as we speaking, these devils are buying up all type of warehouses. They have this huge budget to do exactly that. And we've been warning, starting with the elders and the apostles for the longest, that there's FEMA and detention centers all across Babylon the Great. Whether it's these ones that we see, we're hearing that ICE are buying up these different warehouses. We know and understand that that they've had these facilities, prepped and prepared. I remember many years ago, the elders and the apostles warning about these different FEMA camps, how they're buying up all these hollow tip bullets, how Elder Apostle Kabar would always go into the how they got the guillotines. We've seen different informations, different documentaries, of these different, places being built and how they're going to be used eventually to round up, the masses of you American people and how, scriptures say that the prophets and the men of the Lord will be, put in these different situations at the end of during these end times, man, but never to fear. So let's check out some of this article. It says, an Irish man with legal permission to work in the United States who spent nearly 5 months in a Texas ICE detention facility has described the conditions there as a modern day concentration camp in a harrowing interview detailing a widespread illness and competition for food. It says Seamus Cullington of Ireland's County Kilkenny has lived in the U.S. for nearly 20 years and is married to an American citizen. Despite holding a valid work permit and being in the final stages of receiving a green card with no criminal record, he was detained by ICE agents in September 2025 and has after he was stopped while driving home from work. See, and it's showing you that it's going to come to the point to where, you pulling that whole, I'm an American citizen, I know my rights. A lot of that shit is not going to be accepted. Scriptures tell you that this man is going to eventually have to come down with great wrath, seeing he has but a short time. And none of us are going to be safe eventually. When they pass that Insurrection Act, when that sedition takes place, when all hell is breaking loose, we're all going to be pretty much deemed enemies. We're all going to be, persecuted with extreme prejudice. You see, we're all going to be eligible to be grabbed up and taken and tested and tried, man. You see, and we already know that the prophets and the men of the Lord, hey, we're public enemy number one. We know these guys have, our names and our addresses and who we are and what we do already, categorized as a threat and as a problem. These devils are just waiting for the right opportunity and the right time to really exercise that power to, to eventually come up against us. And ultimately, we know it's true because the scriptures say so. We know that the servant is not greater than his master. If they hated Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai for what he did, how much more us in this times? And the scriptures tell us, those that serve the Lord, prepare thy souls for temptation, man. All right. So you have to have this in the back of your mind, that, we're going to be faced with situations like this, before all is said and done. So you have to have your mind prepared and you have to have vision. You have to understand, like I was saying in the beginning, when these things happen, you can't have it in your mind that you're being put in these situations because you're wicked or because the Lord hates you or that, the Lord ain't dealing with you. It's all going to be a test and a trial of our faith, man. The Lord has to test us. He has to see if we're truly real or not. If we truly ultimately believe in his power and the death, burial, and resurrection of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and that, we truly believe that the Lord is a rewarder to those that wait for him. Even if we're put in imminent death, or even if it's going to cost us our lives in general. You see, and this is why having understanding of, having a true understanding of death and not fearing death and not and understanding that, even if Esau is allowed to, send us back to the spirit world, that's not the end all be all, man. It's going to be about our faith and how we go out. When we're faced with that situation. Are you going to get weak? Are you going to deny Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai? Are you going to take the MOTB? Are you going to submit yourselves to this, to what Esau's got going? And there's going to be the part in this article that made me think about that, because they're going to try to, they tried to make this guy do a particular thing that he wasn't right. But, by him being in these dire situations, him being weak and him being put in there for so long, that, they're hoping that your will be broken in these different detention centers, that the ill treatment and the harsh conditions and you maybe being sick, not being fed properly, you probably be in there having to defend yourself, fight off guards, fight off 2/3, fight off weirdos in these different situations, as a means to break your will. And, they'll come and present you with, whether it be that MOTB or, or whatever the case might be, for you to deny it, to, lose hope and faith, man. All right. This is back here. It says Cullington, who is now being held at a detention facility in El Paso, Texas, gave an interview on Monday to Kieran Cuddihy, the host of Live on Irish broadcast RTE. He's described being locked in the same room for months, as well as the filthy conditions and lack of adequate food for the population, you see. And a lot of these are psychological torture tools, man. They're trying to break your spirit, break your will. And for those of us who are in this truth, remember, it's going to be a test, man. You're going to have all type of thoughts. You probably going to be feeling like the Lord ain't with me. Or why am I in this situation? I've been serving the Lord. Why me? Why this? Those fleshly questions, the flesh being weak. and mortal thoughts could overcome you. And, you know, and Satan is always looking for an opening. Satan will use that as an opportunity to make you weak, to try to devour you, to break your will, to have you to lose faith. Why this, why that, that's why we're going to have to, focus on prophecy, and particular scriptures are going to have to be in your mind. And like I said, one of the main things you're going to have to understand is that you're not being put in this situation to be punished or because you're evil or because you're wicked. It's because you're being tested and tried, man. It's all a test. Everybody has to be tested, Hey, and Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is going to test us to the utmost. But hey, if we're part of the elect, man, hey, the Lord's going to preserve us and keep us. But that's why, this word has to be fully in you during those times, man. You see? It says the best way I could describe it is probably like a modern day concentration camp. It's a bunch of temporary tents. There are probably room for 1,000 detainees in each tent. I believe there's like 5 tents. I've been locked in the same room now for 4.5 months. I've had barely any outside time, no fresh air, no sunshine. I could probably count on both hands the amount of times I've been outside. So I've just been locked in this room all day, every day. And like I just read, scriptures say you shall have tribulation 10 days. Now, I don't mean literally 10 days, It just means you're going to be in these situations for a certain particular time. And then this guy has been damn near 5 months, man. You see? And I guarantee you, he don't know the scriptures. I guarantee you, he don't know what we know. And he's somehow maintaining, he's keeping his hopes and spirits alive, as it seems. So how much more us, man? And we got plenty of examples of our ancient forefathers, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the woman and her 7 sons, A lot of our forefathers faced their particular hour of temptation, and it's going to be no different for us in these times that we're getting ready to come into. It says, describing the broader conditions, he said, we get 3 meals a day. Very, very small meals, kid-sized meals. You see, this is why we've been telling Jake to, start getting yourself used to being a man of meager appetites, man. All right. Don't be in here just indulging and constantly stuffing your face and being in that spirit of just eating and eating and eating. You got to have discipline, man. I know for myself, I only eat 1 meal a day and I fast the majority of the day. Now, I'm not saying that makes me perfect or that makes me immune from, if I was put in a situation that, I would just pass it with flying colors. But, you have to, prepare yourself, because at the end of the day, yeah, they're giving them 3 meals. But for us, what if those 3 meals, all of them had pork in it? Or if those 3 meals, they had maybe one thing on there that was probably edible or lawful to eat? You see, you can't be in these situations and be like, well, I'm in a concentration camp. I'm locked up. I'm just going to eat pork. I'll eat sausage. I'll eat, catfish or whatever it is they serve me because I'm in captivity. Lord knows. No, it don't work that way. Even in these dire situations, man, we're still going to have to strive lawfully and move uprightly. You see? So it's going to be a lot that goes into the times that we're coming in. And that's why we should, the water Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai for giving us teachers and elders that are preparing us and putting us in the right mind frame. Yeah, a lot of these other Israelite groups, man, they're not being taught. They're not being prepared spiritually or mentally for these times that are coming in because their teachers don't promote that. A lot of these other Israelites just promote, fleshliness, worldliness. I guarantee you a lot of them niggas is eating good. They don't fast. They don't, discipline themselves to be able to eat 1 meal a day. Them niggas just, they're of the world. Therefore, they speak of the world and the world hears them, man. Like I said, look at the ISUPK, how a lot of those guys look. A lot of them niggas look like they don't miss no meals, man. They be drinking the orange chicken, drinking the orange soda, eating fried chicken. A lot of them niggas are very, very heavy and morbidly obese. So, they ain't in the mind frame that, preparing themselves for these times that are coming and disciplining themselves to be a man of a moderate appetite, hey, So imagine the spirit they're going to be in when these things come. And those are the same guys who said Jacob's trouble is gay. So you already know, man, a lot of those guys are going to fold. They're going to be broken. And when they're tested, man, they're going to fail. I mean, look at how they're moving and operating now. They telling you to take the jab, They told you think the Lord cares if you take a microchip. So what you think the spirit they're going to be in when they're fully oppressed and they're in Jacob's trouble coming, they're in one of these detention centers, man. Them dudes are going to fold like a fold like a cheap suit, man. It says we get 3 meals a day, very, very small meals, kid-sized meals. So everybody's hungry. Everybody's tired. So, everybody in there is agitated. Everybody's there and irritated. Everybody in there, if got, the demons that are on them are on an all-time high, man. So like I said, not only are you in there catching hell, you're cold, you're hungry, you're isolated, you're stuck in there with all type of wicked, evil thoughts. And then you got to deal with hundreds of other men that are, filled with demons, that don't have the Holy Spirit, that are hungry, that are agitated, that are irritated, that are on edge, that are willing to just crash out and then just flip out over anything, man. You see, this is going to be a lot that goes into it. But hey, we're hoping and praying that, hey, that the Holy Spirit remains with us, man. And we're able to apply this wisdom, this discipline, this knowledge, being self-centered, being able to operate, in the right spirit, even in these tense and highly irritable, stressful situations, It's going to be a hell of a test, man. It says the conditions here are filled. The toilets, the showers, completely nasty, very rarely clean, And like I said, and you can be in these situations, hey, they're not going to be favorable. They're not going to be comfortable. You ain't going to be showering. I guarantee you sicknesses and infections are going to be very, very high. And those guards, they ain't going to be treating you properly. They ain't going to be treating you fairly. They're probably going to be in there scoffing and mocking. Oh, look, you guys, we got one of the Hebrew Israelites in here. They're probably going to be trying to rile up the other inmates against you, talking shit, you know what I mean? Making fun of you, teasing you, adding more hell to your situation. It's going to be all type of shit going on, man. But still, we have to prepare our minds that these situations could very well be upon us. It says, I am in fear for my life now here, honestly, because people are being killed by the staff here. And you don't think other inmates are killing other inmates? And they're not reporting that shit. You don't think men in there probably raping other people? Probably going to have women in there, too, getting raped, children in there being mistreated. It's probably going to, be horrific and terrible things that you're going to be seeing in there that you've never witnessed or you've never been in. So it's going to be a totally chaotic and terrifying situation, man. You see, it says by the security staff, and you just don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. You don't know if there's going to be riots. You don't know what's going to happen. It's a nightmare in here. You see? What else is in here? That's pretty much. It's one more point in here I wanted to read. Oh, here we go. It says Cullington also argued that ICE officers attempted to pressure him into signing deportation papers, something he said he absolutely refused. It's just torture. I don't know how much more I can take, he said. You see? So you don't think they're going to be in there? If the MOTB is being permitted and being mandated, they're not going to be pressuring you to take it. Hey, you want to get out of here? Hey, take your MOTB. Take this, take that. It's going to be complete hellish conditions, man. And we have to prepare our minds to be in these type of situations. But the point I'm making is that, look, the Lord, some of us are going to be cast into treason, but it's for what? For us to be tried. And I want to get that word tried, which we bring this word out a lot. All right. And the word is pirazo. It says to try, to make trial of, a test for the purpose of ascertaining his quality or what he thinks or how he will behave himself. You see? And we're going to have to behave ourselves uprightly in these situations. And our faith and trust is going to have to be in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. We're not, you can't go in there and bend the knee and allow those hellish and horrendous and nightmarish conditions cause you to get weak and to waver and to lose hope and faith and, let your will be broken and this man to trick you into bowing the knee, worshiping the image and receiving this man's mark. Or if he's threatening to deport you or whatever the case might be, man, we're going to have to stand firm through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. It says, in a good sense, in a bad sense, to test one's maliciously, craftily to put to the proof his feelings or judgments, to try or test one's faith, virtue, character by excitement to sin. You see? And this is what the situation is going to be. And you have to understand it's all Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai testing you, man. Look at this. Of the Most High to inflict evils upon one in order to prove his character and steadfastness of faith. You see? But like I said, this is why when a situation happens, you can't look at it as, oh, the Lord ain't dealing with me. The Lord hate me. You know, a lot of people will get in a situation and they'll curse the Most High if they're not in the right spirit, if they don't understand ultimately what's being done unto them, you know? So that's why we're going to have to be in the right spirit. We're going to have to be, you know, have our minds single. We're going to have to be focused. We're going to have to be dialed in and understand that, look, man, whatever we're dealing with, it's all a test of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. He's going to use these different conditions and Esau and wickedness and all type of different scenarios, man, to test your character and to test your faith, man. All right. And I'm gonna get this last one because I got to step out. This is 1 Peter chapter 1 and 3. 1 Peter 1 and 3. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, which according to his abundant mercy hath begotten us again into a lively hope by the resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach from the dead, to an inheritance incorruptible and undefiled, and that fadeth not away, reserved in you for heaven, who are kept by the power of the Most High through faith unto salvation, ready to be revealed in the last time, wherein ye greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if need be, you are in heaviness through manifold temptations, you see. And this is, you know, we're dealing with this every day, but it's going to intensify. It's going to get more and more crazy as we get closer into the end. And when we're put in this, you know, situation of our faith being tested, you know, when we're faced with the hour of temptation, when we're put in these different scenarios or in one of these detention centers or, you know, whatever the case might be. It says the trial of your faith, you see, there it is, the testing of your faith, man, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, you see, and being put in one of these situations is fire, man. It tells you that this is how we're going to make it into the kingdom of heaven. You know, with the water on the one side and the fire of the left, we're going to have to still strive lawfully. We're still going to have to walk that narrow path in order to enter the kingdom. And it's going to come with heavy manifold temptations of fire and water. Okay. It says, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahushua HaMashiach. You see, and this is what we want to be found. It says, whom having not seen ye love, in whom though you now you see him not, yet believing, you rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls, you see? And that's what we're looking for. Our putting our faith and trusting in him will end with a reward, you know, whether it be us, you know, being delivered from one of those detention centers, of us being faithful in, you know, even unto death, getting our head put in the guillotine or getting taken back to the spirit world. But you never bended, you never folded, you never denied Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and you just had to be taken out because this devil Esau realized, look, he ain't going to bend, he ain't going to break, he's not going to deny his power, he's not going to, you know, take our micro see him, he's not going to worship and bow down unto us. Just take him back. Just, you know, just put him out of his misery. But really, hey, he's not putting us out of our misery. He's just, you know, taking us out of this flesh. Hey, and there's going to be a great reward for us, you know. It says, of which salvation the prophets have inquired and searched diligently, who prophesied of the grace that should come unto you. It says, searching what or what manner of time the spirit of Hamashiach, which was in them, did signify, when it testified beforehand the suffering of Hamashiach and the glory that should follow. You see? And this is what we're ultimately hoping for, you know, and we see the stage being set, and we see, you know, the situation that this Irishman was put in, and we have to understand that, hey, some of us are going to be put in this very same situation, but understand that it's a test and trial of our faith. Hey, and those of us who are of the elect, man, hey, we're going to be guided through, you know, and there's nothing ultimately that we should fear, because the Lord is ultimately going to be with us. Oh, I had another one. Let me see if I still got it in here. Yeah, real quick. This is Isaiah 43:1. But now, thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that created thee, O Jacob, and that formed thee, O Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. And this is really for the elect. It says, when thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. You see? So, hey, this is the type of scriptures and the type of spirit that we're going to have to constantly keep within us, tucked tight, because we got to understand that, look, we're going to be redeemed. We're not going to be forgotten. And the Lord is going to be with us no matter what situation that we might find ourselves in, man. So with that, you know, Lord willing, this was edifying. All praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for putting the spirit in me to do this lesson. Lord willing, this was edifying and uplifting. And to the next one, shalom.